I don't know what that means. But I kind of wish it was true. I just wish there was Planned Parenthood at the mall. So you could just go and get your Cinnabon and go to Chico's and get your pap smear and get the fuck home. Like everything else that happens at the mall. You know, and I love her husband, he's awesome. Marcus. He's fun. I don't want to say he's gay. But I do want to say a whole bunch of stuff that sounds exactly like I'm saying he's gay. He's just, the ads got away from being Rick Torn. But he's not gay, he's not. He's, I think he glitter bombs himself though, maybe. I'm just very suspect of people who are psychologists who say they can cure gay people. He couldn't cure anything else, let's be honest. I just don't believe you can cure gay people. Like, it's such a stupid thing. Like, right? It's just so stupid. And now it's exciting because Joe Biden came out and said, you know, I believe in gay marriage, and then Barack Obama was like, yeah, I guess I do too. And, I know. Because it was kind of weird, that whole evolving into the gay marriage thing. Like, he kept talking about it the way people talk about scotch. I'm kind of acquiring a taste for it. Fully committed. But sometimes I like it after dinner. It was weird to evolve into the gay marriage. But I'm excited that finally that's happening, and there's all sorts of. I was at those house parties, 6 house parties for the to stop that amendment on the Constitutional Assembly. I'm just very suspect of people who want to make laws that prevent people from doing things that are nice for each other. Just in general, that kind of seems like a pretty good rule. You know, it's like, I must stop you. We want to make a law that stops you from loving someone who would make you happy and better. It's odd, right? And when you see the people who are fighting fervently against gay marriage or same-sex marriage, it's always bizarre because they say things like, you know, gay marriage will destroy the dignity of straight marriage. To which first I think, well, didn't people getting married in Vegas do that? You can go to a guy with a mustard stain on his Elvis jumpsuit. That's kind of taking the dignity down a notch. But secondly, how weird is it that if you're married, you know, who's married? Are you married? Okay, how long have you been married? Okay, 15 years, right. So you probably had some, you know, pretty big fights in your marriage, right? 15 years, it happens. Has one of those fights ever been, fuck, there are 2 people who we don't know in a state we're never going to. Going to fucking PTA meetings, destroying our marriage. That ever happened? Never been one of your fights? Yeah. So, not. And that's why it's weird, but I've always been like, you know how good, they hire these people in Washington who can spin a turd into gold. Like, it's amazing what they can do, right? Well, what's they call the Healthy Forest Initiative? Wow, what makes it healthy? Well, there's no more forests. No. How do you know they're healthy? Well, isn't that interesting? They're like, well, they sold that. So there is no person who knows how to spin the gay marriage thing in a way that makes politicians jump up and down for it. That's what they need, right? Because I feel like anything any politician votes on is basically they have to assess how it will affect them personally. I have a lot of mistrust in politicians. And so you look at this issue and you go, okay, what would make politicians super happy? What about gay marriage? So you look at like, okay, big, you know, rich white guys sitting there in DC going, I don't know how to vote. It's like, okay, well, how do we convince them? All right, what is the one thing about gay marriage that like totally rich, straight white guys would like? Hot lesbians. Okay. Stay with them. Stay with them. we convince them that if they pass like marriage equality all over the place, that hot lesbians would move in next door and build a pool? You don't call it marriage equality, you call it the Straight Guy Wish Fulfillment Initiative. I think it would be super successful. But we're here because, you know, these people are, so there is a war on women. I don't know why they say there isn't. There is a war on women. Planned Parenthood, the assault is unending. It is so crazy that I think there's like 4 states where it's illegal to exfoliate. And you just, you know, it just started happening and we just started hearing more and more. You know, first it was, you know, the League of Catholic Bishops, very upset about birth control, and there's all those religious men talking about birth control to Congress. And I was like, what is happening? I don't know about you, but when I have sex, I normally yell, oh God, not, oh League of Catholic Bishops. Maybe some of you yell that, and that's fine. Do what you need to do, put a mitre on. The only reason I know the word mitre is because it's a crossword puzzle word. That's the Pope hat, or the Bishop hat, you know, the big hat. That's a mitre. Yeah, you're welcome. Just one more thing you can do with the crossword puzzle, and you'll be like, that is so great. Yes, and Rhea is this little inlet on my name. In the Jewish month, Adar, I'll stop. You know, you hear like transvaginal probes. It's like, okay, first of all, what? It's something I don't want or need and I pay for and it goes in my vagina? No. That's called a husband. So, I know, I kid because I think that's terrific. Honestly, I do. But the thing is, seriously, if there is a probe that is my probe, that takes x-rays and goes in your vagina, then put it at the airport. And then we can have healthcare and screening, and it's free, and at least something's going on. Like, they can be the PSA. Replace those agents with OBGYNs. Get a mammogram screener, you walk through, it's like zoop, 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 zoop. I'll send you a letter in a week. This is why no one calls me, really, from Washington. That's my good idea. But it does seem crazy, because honestly, it's supposed to be about jobs. Like, where are the jobs? There are no jobs. My uterus has never created a job. In fact, it doesn't even do the job it's supposed to do anymore. And I had to laugh/cry when they put that big giant, it was called the Blunt Amendment, and this was the one where you had to ask your boss if it was okay for you to use birth control for sex. Because he could disapprove of it if he didn't like the behavior with which you were going to use it. And he shoved that in the transportation bill. I was like, my crumbling infrastructure is my business. Wow. But they seem to be fighting tirelessly, so women will have the same rights as women in Saudi Arabia. They just hate Planned Parenthood simply because it has the word plan in it. They don't have a plan. There's no plan. There's no plan. They say things like, well, why do we need Planned Parenthood? Can't women just get health care at Walgreens? It's actually said by a person in the Senate. It's like, yeah, that's where we go for all of our healthcare is Walgreens. I mean, I put my arm in that thing. I've actually had a breast exam at Walgreens. Not granted, it was some freak just staring at my boobs as I was buying Werther's for my mother, but what is it with elderly people and Werther's? It's a love affair that is so unbelievable. They love a Werther's, and they're original, not the coffee. Don't fucking bring home the coffee. That is like, you whipped out of the well. But we just want to be left alone to have our happy time sexting. 90% of women use birth control at some point in their lives. They just as soon not talk about it and not have their church involved. I mean, sometimes I think literally the favorite position of extremists is the overreach around. I think that is their favorite sexual position. I love that joke. It is like a joke more than the big straight crowd. If I was in a gay club right now, I would get a standing ovation. Another thing to Google, reach around. You might get kind of grossed out, but it is a thing. And I don't know what happened to Arizona, but it became a massive shit show. It's epic. Like, I don't know. Like, seriously, Arizona has gotten so far off the map. There's like law, like, I think they proposed a law that said you're pregnant 2 weeks before you conceive. I don't even know what that means. I guess that means on take your child to work day, an erection or a box of tampons, all qualified as children. I seriously don't even know what to say. I just know that when I have traveled and met so many wonderful people, and this has been such a crazy thing for me, as I'm going to read a story in a second from my book, which will sort of give you an indication of why Planned Parenthood has been such an amazing organization for me personally. And it has been also an incredible bone of contention between my mother and me and my family and Catholicism and all this stuff. And it was my mom, she was just like, do you have to talk about this? I was like, I kind of do. And I said, do you really don't think I ever make points that I can sell you on? No, I don't. I was like, well, have you ever seen me on TV try to make points? And she goes, well, I watched you on MSNBC, but with the sound down, just to see what your hair looks like. Classic. But this is the thing about family, right, and friends, is that no matter what happens in this career, and I have a job that sometimes puts me on TV, it means nothing. And people are certainly, especially your siblings, smacking you right down if you ever think that that was interesting. Don't. But the greatest, this sums up my mother in a nutshell, and sort of my family as a whole. I was doing an event 2 years ago here at the amazing Westminster Presbyterian Church. They're so lovely there. And they do a series of speakers in conjunction with Minnesota Public Radio, and they bring really interesting people in. And so they had like for a week, they bring in somebody each day. And so they brought in Hillary Clinton and Desmond Tutu and Jonathan Alter and me. Trust me, it was weird. And I was like, oh wow, that's pretty impressive. And so I'm in New York, and I'm getting ready to come to Minnesota, and my mom calls me. And she's like, I'm looking at the paper. And I see this thing you're doing. It's incredible. You're the only person I've never heard of. And I knew exactly what she meant. But still, it was like, wow, that is exactly right. I know. So it's crazy. So today actually is the 1-year anniversary of her passing, and I'm here on stage. Yeah, I know. It was kind of hard to kind of navigate what today was going to be like. I just had this book come out that talks a lot about her in it and honors her, and so I think that she did a lot right. And the one thing she did and my dad did, and this is one of the greatest things that my dad, we fought bitterly about politics. My parents were very conservative, incredibly devoted Catholic. And my dad did this thing where he would goad me constantly. And I was like, why do you keep doing this? And I eventually realized he kept doing it because he saw himself in me when we fought. We didn't fight unfairly. We fought with a belief system that we both had that was rooted in things that we thought were horrible ideas, but were actually executable. And he would always say to me, damn it, I raised you to have an opinion and I forgot to tell you it was supposed to be mine. And so I carried that legacy on, whether they like it or not, and I think they kind of did like it in the end. But that meant, you know, difficult battles, bitterness, but it also meant courage of conviction, which I think is good. So I'm going to transition to reading you the story from my book that will tell you why I'm here and hopefully realize to you why you're here and why it's important to support this organization.